Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and I'm going to continue going down the list of Lodash functions. And now we're going in the collection section of Lodash. So it looks like it's just more stuff to work with arrays, but we'll go one by one and see kind of what each one does. And with this, count by is interesting. What it does is it counts. Okay, so I'm going to make, we'll just use my array. Okay, so let's clear this out. Lodash dot count by. So what you do is you pass in a array, my R. Okay, then you pass in a function. Now in this case, I don't really want it to do anything particular. So what it'll do is it'll run the function against the value, and then compare the result, and I guess it maps it to an array and then counts how often each value pops up. I just want to use the actual value, so I don't know if I can just maybe not pass a function and whether that would just count for me. Let's give that a shot. Or do I have to pass something in? If not, I'll just pass like an empty function. Node index.js. If you hear my bird in the background, that's that's my bird. Cocktail. Okay. And yeah, so that just counts it. So you see the number times 0 pops up is twice, 1 pops up once, 2 pops up once, 4 pops up once, and it just counts and gives you an object with the counts of everything in there, which that can definitely certainly be useful. Okay, especially like I can think of this being used in sort of like a shopping cart kind of thing where people buy multiples of the same good, and it gets pushed into like an array, and you want to figure out how many things they bought of the same thing. Yeah, that's a pretty cool function. Okie dokie, so that's count by. But let's say we wanted to do something like this. Like how many of the numbers are even? Okay, we could do something like this. Count, and then the second parameter would be the value. And with the value, and then what it does, it returns whether the value modulo 2 equals 0. Okay, and this time I'm not putting curly brackets around it, so it's an implicit return. So we should be fine. Save. Good. And then if we run that, okay, what do I get? 0, 1, 1, 1. Count by my R. Oh, yes, I see what happened here. I'm surprised it actually even ran. Okay. So that should be like that. And then I still need another parentheses over here. Save. And there we go. Okay, so basically those 4 trues. So that means 4 of those numbers were even. 4 out of the 7 numbers were even numbers. Okay, so that's another example of how you could use this. Because see, it changed each value to either true or false, and then counted. Okay, so that's a thing. That's a way you can do it. Okay, neat. So that's count by. Let's move on. Okay, next to each for each. So I'm assuming this is just basically something that existed before the for each function existed, or it is just the for each function. Okay, iterates over an element contection, and each invokes for each element. The iterate is in the invoke key 3 arguments, as with collections. Value index, key collection. The iterate is invoked with 3 arguments: value, index, collection. Okay, as with other collection methods, objects with a length property are iterated like arrays. To avoid this behavior, for in, for own, for object iteration. Okay, so basically this is literally the for each function. Okay. So essentially how the way this would work is, the way it's built into JavaScript right now is that if I want to just iterate over an array, so I can just do my r dot for each, and then I pass in a callback, so it'd be value index console.log value and index. Okay, and that should for the most part work, although yeah, we'll give it a shot. Okay, see, then that works. Okay. See 1021, it just console logs the whole array by iterating over it. So basically, let's do it in Lodash way. So Lodash for each. The first argument is probably going to need to be the collection, so my R, and then the callback, and I think that's good. Save. And that should pretty much do the same thing. Yep. The only difference is it returns the array at the end. That's interesting. Okay, so this actually will return the original array at the end of the function. That's pretty cool. Okay, but aside from that, it iterates. But you can use it to iterate over strings. You can use it to iterate over objects. So in this case, we have this object. Let me create a complex object. Const my obj equals name Alex, age 34, location Brooklyn, fave band Coheed and Cambria. Okay. Yeah, that's good enough. So I could iterate over this object. My obj. And then I think it was it can be key value. Let's take a look here. So it's value key. As far as that third argument, I'm not sure how I would use that, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So value key. Okay. And then I'll just change this to value key. Save. And see, it basically console logs the object. See, first it console logs. Let me think about, and then returns the object at the end. So there, see, it says the value and then the key. Value, key, value, key, value, key, and then it returns the actual collection. So basically, so that's interesting. Okay, so basically all these functions that say collection means you could use them on arrays or objects. So that's why it's not distinctly under the array category. That clicked. Okay. But that's just literally the for each loop that you can use on arrays and objects anytime you want. Neat. You can also use it on strings. So I could do something like this. Alex. Okay. And if I do that, let's see what we get. See, basically here's the letter and the index of that letter in the string array. So yeah, you can do that. Okay, so each right, I'm assuming that this is going to start iterating from the end instead of iterating from the front. So this method is like for each, except that it iterates over the elements from right to left. So yeah, so it starts at the end instead of starting at the beginning. That's actually pretty cool and useful. I can definitely think of situations where I might want to do that. So, but it's literally the same thing, just starts from the beginning, the end instead of the beginning. So that's cool. Every. I wonder if this is going to be like the every function that is built into JavaScript. Probably. Okay, this method returns true for empty collections because empty everything is true. It returns truth. Yep. So this is now built into JavaScript. So let me show you how this works. Okay. Let's see here. That's something that's gonna be true for. Actually, yeah. Let's do something stupid. Okay, so my r dot every. And the way every works is that it's going to run a test on each object in the array. And if the test returns true for all of them, then the function returns true. So it means that the test all of them pass the test. So basically you pass in a callback. So just usual value. You could pass index. I'm not going to use it, but just so you can see you could. What I'm going to do is just say, does my R index, so that way I do use both, equal value, which it should, because it's the same thing. So this that should return true for all of them, and basically this whole thing should just return true, which it does. The only difference is in Lodash, you do this, every Lodash, and then you have to put in the collection in here, so my R, and then same thing with the callback, save, and if I run that, it should be the same result, true. Okay. Okay, now if I were to do this, index, we just choose a random index. Are they all equivalent to the third index? Not all of them are going to equal, let's see here, 0, 1, 2, 3. Not all of them are going to equal 4. One of them will be true, but a lot of them will be false. So it's going to return false. So just to show you that, save. Not every value will pass that test, so I get a false. So that's all it is. You're running a test against everything. They have a version built in the JavaScript. The only thing I think that this might be different is I can probably use this with objects as well. So let's see here. So let me let's just test that out. So we'll use my object. My assumption is that this would just then become value and key. So then this would become my obj, square brackets, key. And then that should return true for each one, because this should equal this. Yep. Okay. So yeah, the difference here is you can use it over objects. I'm sure I can probably use it over a string as well. Save. False. Interesting. Oh, because I'm using my obj still. So it should just be does, I think this is where it becomes useful. I think this is why we have a third parameter in here. So let me try this. Actually, I'll just make this call. So I think you can take whatever the collection is and then pass it in as a separate parameter. So call, so then that'd be call key. It's really the index, but I don't feel like changing it that much. Let me see, does that work? That doesn't work. Value. Let's make this index. Let's get rid of call. Just want to make sure, 100% sure that this is not working with the string. Alex key. I think I can do that. Nope. The key is not defined. Oh. Boo. Yep, okay, so I can do that. Okay, so you can just assume that a string is an array and call upon its index. Never had to do that before, so it's a shot in the dark. But seemed consistent with what I've seen in many other languages. Okay, neat. So that's every. Filter, okay, these look like it's going to be basically the same thing. So if you're used to these functions in JavaScript, you already kind of know how they work. So filter, the only difference here is you're going to be able to use them for objects and strings. So filter, find last. So again, that's going to find the last version because it starts from the back. Flat map. Actually, this is a function I think they are adding in ES 2020. I remember reading about this. Flat map. So what I think this, if I remember what this is, it's basically a mix of flatten and map. So what it does, it allows you to map over an array and then it flattens it afterwards in case there's any arrays within arrays. So it creates a flattened array of values by running each element in the collection through iteratory and flattening the mapped results. So if you're iterating through an array of arrays, this becomes useful. Okay, and this will be natively in JavaScript if it isn't already. Let me create a situation where you would actually want to use this. Let's see here. Okay, I'll just do a really silly scenario. First, let's actually see if it is in JavaScript yet. might have been added already. Node might already have it incorporated. myr dot flat map, and then you'd pass in the callback. So value index, because that's always the pattern for these things. And I'm not going to even do anything all that fancy. It's just going to return an array with 1 and 2. So it's going to iterate for each one and really do nothing other than just return an array of 1 and 2. So you're going to have this one array with a bunch of smaller arrays of 1 and 2 over and over again. So if this works, I should have just a normal array that just says 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so let's give that a shot. Yep. Okay, good. So it is. I can use this in JavaScript already. Okay, I'm goody. So in that case, but again, the difference is if I want to use it on objects or strings, I have to use Lodash. But this would be the same thing, except now I'm saying my R, passing in the collection as a parameter. I hit save, and same thing. See, now if I had just used the map, so if I had just taken this off and used the normal map function, I'll show you the difference. See, now it's an array of arrays. So again, the difference with flat map is that it'll flatten the result of the map function, which is kind of neat. I did discuss this before when I was talking about like things in ES 2020. Flat map deep. So then just kind of like the flatten function. Deep just means it's gonna flatten multiple levels. Flatten depth means you get to choose how many levels it's gonna flatten. For each, we kind of went over this for each thing earlier up here. So this is just another version of that. And for each right, meaning it starts from the right. So again, these are pretty much the same thing, just different syntactically. Group by, let's take a look at that. Okie dokie, let's see here. Group by creates an object composed of keys generated from the results of running each element of the collection through an iteratee. The order of grouped values is determined by the order that occurs in the collection. So let's take a look at an example. 6.1, 6.2. Okay, so this flattens it, so that makes sense. So math.floor will flatten it. So really it's 646. 646. So the numbers that are within the 6 are here, because it shows you creates an array of the original values next to that key. Okay, I kind of see how that works. So to give you an example, let's do this. So Lodash dot group by, and what I want to do is we're going to run this on the my array with all the numbers, and I want to separate the even numbers from the odd numbers. That's what I'm going to do. So it'll just be value. I mean, I could pass in the index, doesn't really matter. Value, and again, if the value modulus 2 equals 0, it'll return true. So if I hit save, yep, that's what I thought I would do. So it says, okay, these values did not pass the test. So if I run if I do a return true or false, then it runs a test and actually puts the values, this is actually very useful, puts the values that passed the test into this array and the ones that didn't into that array. It doesn't have to do that. I could do something else, like I could just do modulus 2 as what it returns, and then set it like group 0, 1, or anything else. Okay, so the ones that had the result of 0 are here, the ones that have the result of 1 there. Now if I did modulus 3, let's take a look at the result. You know, you do whatever, and the ones that have the same result are going to end up getting grouped together. So in this case, the ones that modulus 3 equals 0, 0 and 0. Ones that modulus 3 equals 1 is 1, 4, 7. And the ones that are modulus, the result is 2, are 2 and 5. So that's actually really, really super useful. I can think of a lot of times where it'd be nice to just be able to take a block of information and just be like the ones that separate them by this way, and then have those multiple arrays available to me. That would be really cool. This is a keeper. I like this a lot. Okay. Okay, includes. Okay, I think this is now inside JavaScript too. But basically, this should just return true if the certain value is in the array. Check the value is okay if it's in the string. Otherwise, the value is used, the quantity is used, and the collection should returns a boolean. That's what I thought. Okay. So let me just check to see if this is in JavaScript. So let's do it this way. I think the way this would work would be like my r dot includes, and we'll say the value. What does it have again? Right now, it doesn't have the value 6. So it'll look through it to see if it has 6, and then return true or false whether it does or doesn't. So I should get false. False. It does have 7, so let's try 7. Cool. Okay, and yeah. So then the Lodash version of it would probably be this. My r dash that. That should return true. But if it's already in JavaScript, why would I use it? Because I can do it over an object. So I could actually put my obj. And I'll say, hey, you know, check if, you know, does it include Brooklyn? So I imagine the way it'll work with an object is that it's going to iterate over the values of the object. That would make sense to me. Let's see if I'm wrong. True. Good. Okay, now let's see. What if we said the band Chicago is in that object? Save. False. Cool. Now let's test the object array. That's what I want to see if I can do. If it'll find one for a particular property. This will be a stretch. So object array. And let's see here. If I did this, would it work? So I said, and then what did I do? Uppercase, lowercase. Name Alex. Is that how I have it up here? I'll just put it in single quotes just to be safe. Save and see if it says, hey, there's one with the value of Alex. Nope. No, it does not. But if I did this, name Alex, age 34, if both properties matched, would that work? No. I figured so because objects are a reference, so they're not referencing the same spot in memory, so that's why that won't work. But I was hoping you'd have probably have to do a loop, and then yeah, you can do a map function and then use this on each map if you want to get that effect. But oh well, that's that. Okay, for each map, group by includes invoke map. I have no idea what that means. Invokes the method at path of each element in collection, returning an array of the results of each invoked method. I'm going to need an example. Let's take a look. Okay. So the collection is 517, 312, sort. Oh no, so this is the collection. And then it's going to sort. So it sorts both arrays. Okay, let's see, here's another one. Has 2 arrays. And string.prototype.split. And the parameter arguments to be passed to that. This is that. Split. Okay, I see. It's you're creating an array. So basically what it does, it iterates over the array's values. Does the function passing in the arguments, that's the third argument. Okay. Trying to think of a good example. Let's see here. Let's give it a shot. Invoke map. Okay, and we're going to do is we're going to do it on my R. Why not? And what we're going to do to each one, so we pass in a function. Okay, and the argument will be whatever. So the argument is this equals it's going to run that function against each of those. Let me think about this. This one's a little tricky to think through. Okay, because about that split, it's going to run that function, which would split the array. Sort will also be, so it has to be an array, sort of array function. Or of the basically of the prototype of the item of the element. Okay, and these are just numbers. So this is more useful if the items were strings or arrays. So let me think about this. Let's do it with my obj array. It'll iterate over both objects, and then we'll use the function object dot entries, and leave it at that. Let's see what that does. Let's see if that does what I think it's going to do. So we should have an array of both arrays entries. Save. Okay, let's see here. Func call this arg return cannot convert undefined or null to an object. So let me see here. I type in objar correctly. Object dot entries. Oh, then basically the you have to pass in the object as an argument. Dir. Okay, and obj r is the argument that you pass in. Or that's right, can't do that either. Interesting. I guess it makes the most sense when you're doing splitting and joining, like in the example. But basically the idea is you run a function. The only difference is this is not a function that takes the value of the array. It doesn't. The function doesn't iterate over the thing. It's going to run the function independently on the value. Okay, so it's not iterating with. It's not running the function as an It's not iterating the function. It's independently running the function on each value, which is sort of a different way of thinking about how that callback is going to be structured. So that's a tricky one to think of a good example of right now. So I'm going to move on. I mean, this example is pretty good. Okay, I just can't think. I wanted to see if I could think of another scenario that would be useful in. But yeah, unless you want to split a bunch of strings in an array, or you wanted to sort a bunch of arrays within arrays. Yeah, that could work. But that's about it. Okay, so let's see here. Group by includes. We talked about that. Key by. I already have it open there. Creates an object composed of keys generated from results of running each element collection through an iterate. So let's see the example. Key by array function O returns string dot from car code. Array function O dot code. Okay, what was the original array? Code 97. Got it. Okay. And then it says A, direction left. Okay, so it gives the object a key based on the function, what the function returns. So what you could do is you do something like this. Okay, so key by. Okay, key by. We're gonna do this on my R. We're gonna take all the stuff that's inside my R and give each element in the array a key inside of an object. And the way we'll do that is just value callback, and we're just going to return the value. The value itself will be the key. And just to be deliberate about it, I'll just say string. Forget if it's capital. I think it's just string. String value. So it'll basically turn that into a string. Actually, no. I'm thinking of a go. I think here it's gonna be parse string or something like that. Save. Let's give it a shot. And yeah, I think I need another parentheses. I'm sure I'm going to get another error in a moment, but yep. Parse string. Okay, let me double check that. It's late in the night. Parse string JavaScript. Is used to split a string. Substring return the strip. If an empty string is used. Okay, it's just a string function. Okay, so my first guess was right. Too many languages. Syntax confused. Save. Okay. And there you go. So you see here, based on the callback function, whatever the function value returns becomes the key for the value. And now I have an object saying 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. There can be some pretty interesting uses of that. Like if I were to do like this obj r, obj r, and then what we do is we return the value dot name. Okay, so now you can, so now there's two keys in there, Alex and Bob, and you can be like alex.name, alex.age, bob.name, bob.age. That's actually probably a much better, more useful example. Cool. But that's a neat function. I can definitely see use of that. Back to the docs. Let's go to map. We talked about map. Order by. Let's see what that does. We'll do, this will be the last one. This method is like sort by, except that it allows specifying the sort order of these iterators by to sort by. If orders is unspecified, all values are sorted in ascending order. Okay, so let's see here. User age, orders, the sort orders of the iterators. Do I have like a set number? Okay, all values are in ascending order. Otherwise, specify an order of des for descending, as for ascending. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so in this case, we're going to sort users, and you're going to sort it by user age. Okay, so that's interesting. Iterate identity array function. Interesting. So first it's gonna sort it by user, then it'll sort it by age. I'm thinking that's what that means. Sending, descending. So let's just that's the, and it could be a function. Sort by. This one might take me a second to fully appreciate. I get the gist. So the idea is I would specify my R here. And then here I would put in some sort of iterator. I mean, an array doesn't make sense. A function really doesn't make sense. Object, string. None of those make sense for this particular. Maybe I should do my obj array. Okay, obj array. And we're going to do based on, could be an object, it says, I think it said. Where did my Lodash go? There you go. Order by users. Here it says it could be an object, so we'll use an object since it's an array of objects. So we'll say sort by name. I think that's how I would do that. And I want it to be ordered descending. Does it have to be in an array? Orders. Got it. Okay, so it needs to be an array with a string. So descending. Let's give that a shot. I'm not super comfortable with that, the way I set that up, but if it works. Yep, name is not defined. Would like an example. Objects for. Okay, I kind of see. Now I want to set this up in an array. I see. So I put an array of the properties I want to sort by. I just want to sort by user. No, not user. Name. So this way it'll be Bob, then Alex. So we're going to do it descending. Or is it ascending? Maybe that's what I want. Ascending. Let me think here. So I just want to sort by that property, in this case the user property, or in this case the name property, and I just want to sort it one way, but I get the same result either way. So I'm putting the name property in there and saying I want to sort it ascending. So did I spell descending wrong before? D-E-S-C. Let's give it a shot. Wait, I think I'm in the, where am I? There we go. D-E-S-C, save. Yeah, it's not really reversing the order. I mean, that's sort of what should be happening. It should be going and then first ordering them by name. But no matter whether I do ascending or descending, it always puts me first. So there's something I'm not fully appreciating. Let's see here. Collection, yeah. The iteratees sort by and sorts the orders of iteratees. So if unspecified, all values are sorted in ascending order. Otherwise, specify an order descending. And except that it allows specifying the sort orders of the iteratees to sort by. So I guess it wants me to have to specify both properties. So was it name and age there? Yeah. Name, age. I'll just do descending for both of them. Is that what I need to do? Let's see here. I mean, it's running the function. Not 100% sure what I am doing wrong here. But I'm going to call it a night for this video. We'll continue this in the next video, exploring Lodash.